Hi, this is Jenny Casson, and I'm here to answer a question that I get quite a lot from entrepreneurs. So many entrepreneurs would like to raise money from investors, but they don't want to be pressured to sell their company. What they've heard about a lot of investments that have been made where the goal of the investor is to push the company to grow as fast as possible and then get sold to a larger company. And this can be, it's not always a good fit. For some people, great. They want to work, 80 hours a week, doing everything they can to grow their company to the point where it would be a desirable acquisition target by a larger business. But there's so many companies that have no interest in doing that and, maybe wouldn't even be a good candidate for that. In fact, I would say a huge majority of businesses are not going to be focusing on growing to the point where they can be sold and that's the way their investors are going to make money. Well, the good news is that is not the only way that your investors can make money. There's so many different ways that you can compensate your investors. So for example, maybe your investors make you a loan and you pay it back over a certain period and eventually they get their principal plus interest back. A lot of investors are very happy with that. Another thing you can do is maybe you want to offer equity. So for example, I had a client that has no interest in ever being sold, but they didn't want to offer debt because they knew they were going to have to get a big bank loan to fund a big construction project, and the bank would be very unlikely to make them a loan if they already had all these investors that had invested in debt. So they offered equity, and a lot of my clients do this. It's a great tool. So you can offer a type of equity called preferred equity, preferred stock, preferred membership interest, depending on what type of company you have. And you can actually pay a dividend. You can pay a profit distribution so that your investors are getting paid while you're happily running your business and not being forced to sell. So if you're a profitable business, you can start to pay out profit distributions to your investors. And you don't have to do it right away. This client that I just mentioned, they actually said, we may not pay anything for 7 years, but we believe that in 7 years we'll be profitable enough to start sharing profits with our investors. And if you're a preferred investor, you get first dibs on the profits before the founder does. And then what if somebody says, well, that's great, but I don't want to be invested forever. Someday I might want to pull my original investment out. I'm really happy you're paying me this annual dividend, but what if all of a sudden my kid needs braces? I'd really like to get my money back out. What you can do is you can build in a provision into your agreement with your investors that says if they do want to get their money back out, they can request it back out. And you can set a price in advance of what you'll pay. And a lot of my clients just say, if you ever want your money back out, you just get back the original amount you put in. And maybe the company won't be able to honor that request, but they'll do their best. So that's another way that you can bring on investors, equity investors, and never be pressured to sell your company. If you'd like access to all 20 videos and a lot more resources, visit jennycasson.com.